Hello children, this is Gajalakshmi, biology facilitator from Vidyalakshmi CBSE, and here we are going to see the second part of chapter 3, our environment, coming under grade 10 CBSE syllabus biology part. And last session we have studied about the basic components of the ecosystem and different types of ecosystem, different trophic levels, food chain and so forth. So here is the continuation of that, and here we are going to study about the food web, biomagnification, and then the last two topics, ozone layer depletion and then garbage disposal. So here children, already we have studied about the food chain. So as we all know, food chain is nothing but you have a sequence of organism in which one organism will be consuming on the other organism so that the next level organism will become the food for the previous trophic level. So all those concepts we have discussed in our previous session. And here we have the continuity of that called as the food web. Food web is nothing but interconnected food chain. If you look at these interconnections present over there in aquatic or terrestrial food chain, instead of having a single sequence of food chain, here you have multiple sequences connected up together. That is called as the food web. So if you look at here, in nature, large number of food chains are interconnected and forms a food web over there. So if you look at this particular food web, here you have plant as the first trophic level organism. So this plant becomes the food for grasshopper, and also it becomes the food for mice, and also it becomes the food for rabbit. So here you can't exist a single food chain to exist. So this kind of interconnected food chain is called as the food web. So both together, food chain and food web, they form a basic component of our ecosystem. And here we are going to begin with a new topic called as biomagnification, which is a very important 3-mark question often repeated in your board exam. So let us begin here. The concentration of harmful chemical increases with every next trophic level in a food chain. When the concentration of particular chemical is getting increased in every trophic level, it is called as biomagnification. Here if you stress on the word magnification, magnifying means become higher and higher. So if any chemicals, any harmful chemical are entering into the food chain through any trophic levels of a ecosystem, in case if it is entering through the first trophic level producers, or in case if it's entering through the primary consumers, what will happen is the primary consumers, as it is becoming food for the secondary consumers, so those chemicals which are there in the primary consumers will completely start to accumulate in the secondary consumers. Like that, when secondary consumer is becoming food for the tertiary consumers, then the concentration of chemical is again becoming accumulated inside the tertiary consumer organism. Like this, in every trophic level, you have the accumulation of harmful chemicals inside the body of organisms, that is called as biomagnification. So often we'll have a confusion between these two terms. What is bioaccumulation and then biomagnification? Here bioaccumulation in the sense, bio means living organism, right? So increase in the concentration of a pollutant in an organism. That means if we are targeting about a single organism and studying the level of concentration in that, it is called as bioaccumulation. Only if single organism is concerned, it is called as bioaccumulation. Whereas in case if you are concerning about the entire food chain where you have multiple sequence of organisms present there. So in a food chain if you take, the concept is called as biomagnification. So here you see increase in the concentration of a pollutant in an entire food chain. So if you take food chain, for example, if you look at this particular food chain, here we are studying about the harmful chemical called as DDT. DDT is an insecticide which is actually banned now because of its high toxic level, and also it is reported to be present in a higher concentration in human beings and other samples which we have tested. So here if you see, this DDT is an insecticide used by the farmers to apply onto their agricultural field to kill the unwanted insects or pests which are spoiling the plant species. So from the agricultural soil, when it is entering into the water body, the level is very less. It remains in the 0.03 or ppm levels. But once this water is consumed by the phytoplanktons and zooplanktons. What is zooplankton here? Zooplanktons are nothing but the animal structures. Through the zooplanktons, it will enter into small fish. Through the small fish, it will enter into large fish. And at last, the topmost carnivorous organism like fish-eating birds, okay, they are the topmost carnivores. where there is a more accumulation of the concentration of this particular chemical. Just compare here, zooplanktons have 0.04 ppm, but if you look at the largest prey organism, they have 25 ppm. ppm in the sense parts per million, that is used to determine the concentration of a chemical. So always, if you remember, if you take a food chain, any level the chemical is being entering into the food chain, the topmost carnivores are there, they are the target organisms where more accumulation of this concentrated chemicals will take place. So this kind of accumulation of a toxic chemical in every level of a food chain is called as what? Biomagnification. And here also, if you see, again the clear picture in the aquatic ecosystem. In aquatic ecosystem, if you see the plant, the water is the ultimate source. In the water, you can able to see the producers. Producers here are called as phytoplanktons. Phytoplanktons are nothing but microscopic plant structures. So these phytoplanktons are consumed by the zooplanktons. Zooplanktons in turn consumed by small fish, and small fish in turn consumed by the large fish, and these large fish will be consumed by the fish eating birds. So if you look at the concentration of this particular DDT chemical, it is very less in the water. But these organisms, throughout their lifetime, they are consuming the water as the major resource of food. So here if you see, the higher most top carnivores, that fish eating birds, they have much more concentration of DDT chemical accumulated in their body. So this kind of increasing in the concentration of a toxic chemical in each and every step of a food chain is called as biomagnification. I hope you understood this biomagnification topic. And here we are into the last part of this our environment chapter, where we will study about our effects on the environment. So what is this one actually? Actually, we are human beings, we are the integral part of our environment. We are dependent on the environment for our normal living, as a normal living basis. But as some of the activities conducted by the human beings are very harmful and they are depleting the environment in a large amount. So we are causing pollution and we are completely affecting the balance of our environment. So in this chapter, we have two topics which concerns about human activities on the environment. In that, the first one is ozone layer depletion. So before going to this topic, what is the meaning of the word depletion? Means getting degraded, or something is getting destructed, it is getting spoiled. That is called as depletion. So here we are going to study about ozone layer depletion. Actually, what is this ozone layer? If you look at our Earth's surface, our Earth is completely covered by the blanket of air. So like a blanket means what? Our Earth is completely protected by the blanket of a air substance called as the atmosphere. As we all know, atmosphere have various levels like lithosphere, stratosphere, many levels are there. So here our Earth is covered by a medium of a gaseous substance called as ozone molecule in the stratosphere layer. Actually, apart from, when you compare to all other gases existing in the atmosphere, this ozone is a deadly poisonous gas. But it is doing something good for us. Let us see what is happening in this ozone. See, ozone layer is a protective blanket around the Earth which absorbs most of the harmful UV radiation of the sunlight. So always when we tell sunlight is falling on our Earth's surface, it is not only sunlight. Along with the sunlight, you have the UV radiations passing on to our Earth's surface. This UV radiation, if you categorize, we have three types of UV radiations. UV radiation A, B and C. All these three radiations are coming and falling over our Earth's surface, but in which UV radiation A is more dangerous when you compare to the other radiation because of its high penetration power. This UV radiation A have high penetration power in such a way that it can able to penetrate inside our body cells. It can even mutate our DNA. It can cause some changes in our DNA. As a result, human beings, plants or any kind of living organism, even from the microbial level, we will be affected because of this UV radiation. Then so far, how we are protected means because of this ozone layer only. Ozone layer acts as a barrier between our Earth's surface and the sun. It is not allowing the UV radiation to directly fall on our Earth's surface. So this ozone layer acts as a UV filter. So is it doing good or bad for us? Definitely it is doing a very great job. It is doing a beneficial thing for us. But here what we are doing, again I'll repeat it here, ozone layer is a protective blanket around the earth which absorbs most of the harmful UV radiation of the sunlight, thus protecting the living beings from health hazards such as, in case if UV radiation, especially this UV air type of radiation falls on our earth surface, human beings and other animals, we may get the skin cancer, high cataract, and if you look at the plants, the crop yield of the plant may be getting altered, or apart from this, it may lead to the changes in the global rainfall pattern. Like that, many sequences are there, consequences of this UV radiations are there. So here ozone layer, which is made up of O3, ozone is represented by the molecular formula O3, which corresponds to 3 atoms of oxygen, is present at higher level of which level? As I told you before, this ozone layer is present in the stratosphere layer of the atmosphere. Even though it is a deadly poisonous gas, in case if this ozone molecule is present in the ground level, it's a deadly poisonous gas and none of the organisms can able to survive in its present. But it is very far away from us and also it is doing good thing for us. So this ozone molecule O3, represented by the molecular formula O3, how it is formed? How does the formation of this ozone molecule naturally take place? See, it is not the human beings' effort. Human beings are not involved in the formation of ozone. But on the controversy, we are responsible for the depletion of the ozone. So here we will see how the ozone layer molecule is getting formed. Ozone layer is obtained in 2 basic steps. The first step involves the action of UV light on the surface of oxygen molecule. So here if you take oxygen molecule is represented by the formula O2. So this UV radiation, when they act upon the oxygen molecule, they will break them down into 2 atoms of oxygen. So here you have 2 oxygen molecule getting broken down into individual atoms of oxygen. So this oxygen atom, again it will go and bind with another oxygen molecule. Together O plus O2 forms O3, that is none other than ozone layer or the ozone molecule substance. So here it involves 2 steps. The first step is action of UV light on O2 molecule, which lead to the breakdown of this O2 molecule into 2 atoms of oxygen. Now this individual atom will go and combine with another O2 molecule which is present in the atmosphere. Together they form the ozone layer, whose molecular formula is O3. And this formation takes place naturally in the stratosphere layer. So here if you look at the graphical abstract of the content, here we have our earth surface, above that we have troposphere, and above that we have stratosphere. In the stratosphere layer we have the component called as what? Ozone layer present. So what is it doing actually? It is filtering the UV rays which is coming from the sun. As I told you before, we have 3 types of radiations, A, B and C. A have more penetrating power and this ozone layer is not allowing the UV radiation to directly enter onto the earth surface and protecting us from their detrimental effects. But what we are doing, we are actually depleting the ozone layer. How? See, from our earth surface, you have the release of a pollutant chemical called as CFCs. The CFC stands for chlorofluorocarbons. Chlorofluorocarbons are the synthetic chemicals which is used as a cooling agent. If you take refrigerators, hair conditioners, or if you take any aerosol sprays and fire extinguishers and all, we have this application of CFCs. So this CFC being a pollutant, when it is released into atmosphere, it gets mixed along with our atmospheric gases, and these CFC molecule are capable of traveling, okay, it is reaching till the stratosphere layer. This CFC is actually responsible for the breakdown of this ozone layer. So what is happening there? This CFC molecule, when it is released into the atmosphere, they themselves break down and they will release chlorine and fluorine atoms. These chlorine atoms will go bind with the ozone molecule. As we all know already, the molecular formula is ozone is O3. So this chlorine will go and bind with O3 and break down that O3 into O2, and one more oxygen atom will be left out, no? So this chlorine will bind with another oxygen atom and they will form chlorine monoxide. This chlorine monoxide and then O2 is the molecule getting separated. So as a result, what will happen? The ozone molecule is depleted gradually one by one. Chlorine is reaching the stratosphere. Chlorine atoms are reaching the stratosphere, binding with the ozone molecule, break down the ozone molecule into O plus O2. So that O will be binding with chlorine to form what? Chlorine monoxide. Again this chlorine monoxide will break down and they will release the chlorine atoms. It's like a cycle. Again and again this chlorine atoms will go one by one, they will start to degrade the ozone layer. So the continuous ozone layer, which was actually protecting us from the harmful UV radiation, is being depleted. It is not completed work. It is being depleted. Still, some of the industries, okay, they are using this chlorofluorocarbons or the other form of chlorofluorocarbons, and they are causing the effect on our ozone layer. So this decrease in the thickness of ozone layer over Antarctica was first observed in 1985, and they termed it as ozone hole. Actually, it is not the hole. It is not ozone hole present over there. It is actually the depletion or thinning of the content of the ozone molecule because of the excessive release of CFC from our Earth's surface. So this decrease was linked to the excessive usage of synthetic chemicals like CFC, as I already told you. At last, what happened is UNEP, which stands for United Nations Environment Program, they succeeded in making an agreement to stop the CFC production, and that protocol which was published is called as Kyoto Protocol. So it was like after 1987. 1987 was the period where all this agreement was done between the industries and the UNEP organization, and they stopped the CFC production anymore. Instead of CFC, some other alternative cooling agents was proposed. So thereafter, we can able to see if you see in this that environmental friendly 100% CFC free refrigerators and all these aerosol sprays, where it is clearly mentioned that it is the cooling agent, but still it contains other chemicals apart from the CFC. So they have mentioned clearly here. So because of the step which was taken by UNEP, the CFC production at the industrial level was completely arrested, and this ozone layer depletion is going down day by day. So this, in case if we take an enough risk and completely avoid this CFC consumption or CFC production, the 100% ozone layer can be protected again. So that was all about the ozone layer depletion. So in this video, so far we have seen about food web. The interconnected food chain is called as food web, and we have seen about biomagnification, the accumulation of the harmful chemical into the food chain, and at the last, top carnivores getting accumulated with more number of toxic chemical is called as biomagnification, and we have seen about the ozone layer depletion. So here the last part of this chapter is garbage disposal. Garbage is nothing but the waste which we generate. It may be from our domestic areas, or it may be from the working organizations or any kind of industries. Whatever waste we generate is called as the garbage. It is not wrong to create the waste, but there are some specific ways to dispose them. If we dispose them properly, then it won't cause any kind of effect on the environment. For that, basically, we should know the different types of waste which is present in our environment. So here if you see, we have two types of waste, biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. From the word itself, degradation means decomposition of the substances or breaking down of the substances. So here biodegradable in the sense, bio means living organism. So any living organism, if they have the capacity to break the waste material into the less harmful substances, that is called as biodegradation. So on that category, here if you see the peels of vegetables and the fruits, paper or any kind of wood items, everything will come under the biodegradable waste. So what is the definition of that biodegradable waste? If any waste is able to be decomposed by the action of microorganisms, those waste materials are called as biodegradable waste. In case, if any waste materials cannot be decomposed by the action of microorganism, the opposite controversy is the non-biodegradable waste. What is the main difference here? These biodegradable waste are decomposed by specific group of microorganisms. Those microorganisms have the capacity to produce the enzymes which are specifically acting upon these substances and break them down into simple forms. But these non-biodegradable waste, for example, if you take plastic bags, glass bottles or any kind of metallic containers. These substances are very inert and they are very stable in nature. So microorganisms don't have any enzymes to break them down. It is actually acted upon by the physical process like heavy or high temperature of heat, and under high pressure they can be broken down into less substances, but not complete decomposition is done. They are just reduced into the forms, but still they are persistent or they remain in the environment for long period of time. That is why it is called as non-biodegradable. If you want to remember easily, we have microorganisms. If microorganisms are available to break down the waste, it is called as biodegradable. If microorganisms are not available, it is called as non-biodegradable substance. However, whatever classification we do, if we accumulate more amount of biodegradable waste in the nature, or if you accumulate more amount of non-biodegradable waste in the nature, definitely it is going to cause a pollution. So what is the ultimate way to reduce this pollution is, we have to go for proper garbage disposal techniques. There are some techniques available to dispose them properly in such a way that it is not causing any harmfulness to the environment. So here we are going to see about the waste disposal methods such as biogas plant, sewage treatment plant, landfillings, composting, recycling and reuse. In that, the first one is biogas plant. Biodegradable waste can be used in biogas plant to produce biogas and the manure. So here is the picture of the biogas plant. So this biogas plant will be constructed either near to our agricultural area or near the residence of a farmer, where he can able to accumulate more amount of biodegradable waste to the nearby place. Mostly cattle dung is often used as the substrate for this biogas production. So here cattle's dung is used and it is digested anaerobically to produce the biogas called as methane. If you can remember, biogas is a natural gas, otherwise called as methane in the chemical form, or it is also called as gobar gas. This biogas can be used like how we are using this LPG cylinders for our cooking purpose and all. Like that we can able to use this methane gas for our domestic uses also. For that, separate pipelines will be connected, and the left out sludge of the cow dung will be there, no? That will be used as a manure. Farmers can use it as a manure for their agricultural land. And then we have sewage treatment plant. Sewage is nothing but the waste which can be released out from the, it may be from the industrial areas or it may be from the domestic areas. The liquid effluents which is coming out is called as the sewage. The drain water can be cleaned in sewage treatment plant before adding it to the rivers. Most of the industries and all, if you see, no, you can able to see the construction of the sewage treatment plant. Here the waste water will be filtered in a primary step called as primary process, and again it will be treated aerobically in the secondary step. As a result, the effluent which is coming out of this sewage treatment plant will have less amount of chemicals or non-harmful chemicals, so that will be released into the river. So we have a standard protocol followed in all the industries to have this STPs before releasing the effluents into the atmosphere. And the third one which we are going to see is the land filling. So simply if you look at the word land filling means what? We are going to fill the land with some substances. So here, as we are discussing about waste, we are going to select a land, and that land will be used for dumping of the waste. So how we are going to do that? Let us see here. The waste are buried in low-lying area and are compacted by rolling with the bulldozers. So they will select a low-lying area which is completely away from our residential surfaces. They will dump all the waste over there, and then they will compact them, tight pack them. They will just completely, after a period of time, maybe around 3 years or 5 years of time, once the waste is completely packed, they will seal that area. That means they will completely seal that waste material with the soil, and in future that area can be used for some recreation purpose. That is called as the landfill. And the fourth method is composting. Composting, right from the lower classes we are studying. Composting is mainly meant for the biodegradable waste. So what they will do here? They will use the maybe some containers or directly in the agricultural land, they'll make a pit. They will just dump all this organic waste or biodegradable waste, cover it with the soil. Either they will add some worms. If worms is added, it is called as vermicomposting. So after a period of time, all those waste would have been decomposed by the microorganisms in the soil, that they will take out again and they will use it as a manure for the agricultural land. So far these 4 methods are very important. Apart from this, we have incineration method. Incineration is the method used for the disposal of the hospital waste, where they will burn all this hospital waste into an ash at high degrees Celsius, around 1000 degrees Celsius. They will burn all the hospital waste and make it as a ash, and then again they will follow the separate method for their disposal. So apart from all these things, as we all know, we have reduce, reuse and recycle method. Reduce in the sense, we have to reduce the usage of all these non-biodegradable substances, okay, like plastic covers, glass containers and all, we have to avoid. And we can go for reusing it instead of throwing it away. When you throw out only, it is called as waste. So instead of throwing it away, you can use it for multiple purposes. And then we can go for recycling it. Recycling is very easy process where we will, using the waste, we will be producing some new products which is of lesser cost, and also they have some good quality to use it again. So all these methods we can able to use it. So far in this chapter, we have studied about the environmental factors or the complete information about the environment, and also how human beings especially we are involved in destroying or affecting our environment. If environment is good, ultimately we are the integral part of environment, we can also live a happy and then healthier life. So thank you all. Thanks for watching. Watch the previous video also for more information about the first part of this chapter. Thank you all.